So now that we've finished up everything that we need to finish, we are now moving on to our trial balance. Now, if you remember, the trial balance usually occurs as step 5, right? We mentioned what the trial balance does is it literally tests whether your total debits match your total credits. Now, in this case, how do we do a trial balance is we're going to be needing to use our general ledger, right? Because that's why the steps of the accounting cycle is so important. In order for you to have the general ledger, you need to have your general journal, right? So that is exactly what this next step here is. Now that we completed the journal, we completed the ledger, we now need to test to see if we did our accounting correctly by putting in all of our transactions appropriate in the correct account and making sure that the balances match each other. So this is where the debits equal the credits. Okay? So that means we're going to be needing to use our general ledger because this is the continuation of the accounting cycle from that. Now, in this case, you need to make sure that you are aware this is called a trial balance, not the unadjusted trial balance. The unadjusted trial balance normally happens at the end of a given accounting period to ensure the accuracy of your accounting. But because we are learning and we are in the beginning stages of bookkeeping, right? This is just to ensure as we go along through the series of scenarios that we're not making mistakes along the way. So especially when if you think about it, right? If we waited to the very, 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 very end to go ahead and do the trial balance, what's going to happen is because we're, making, we don't know if we're making the mistakes or not, we could be making a bunch of mistakes and we would have to go back and fix them all at once, right? Now, in this case, because we're doing weekly trial balances, that will ensure that for this week of Coffee Cafe, we can ensure that our numbers are accurate and we haven't made a mistake then. So that's why it's very important that you do that for the sake of this class, is to do a trial balance at the end of every week just to prevent so we don't make those mistakes so much that we have to go all the way back to the very beginning to fix it, right? So in this case, once we complete our trial balance and our numbers match, we are completely done with week 1, and therefore any mistake that we go on forth will be either in week 2, week 3, week 4, and etc., right? So this is our preventative measures to make sure that we did our accounting correctly. Now in this case, so this is what I like to do. It is up to you if you want to do it as well. I do like to block the section off in my journal just so that I'm able to keep track of where my transactions begin and where my transactions end. For this instance right here, this is where my transactions end for week 1. So I like to do this. You don't have to do it. If you want to do it, it's up to you. But I like to code this as my first trial balance, right? Trial balance week 1. Okay, and if you really need to and you really want to, you can also put your account balances right here in the debits and credits if you match your debits and credits from there. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and save. Now, if I made a mistake if I made a mistake in my ledger, it will show on my trial balance because my debits and credits will be uneven. Now, if that was ever the occasion, that means I have to go back to my ledger to verify that did I transfer my numbers from my ledger to my trial balance correctly. And if I still get that mistake, then I need to go back to my journal to make sure that I didn't transpose a number either. So in this case, we're not going to be closing out our general journal until we ensure that our accounting has been done correctly. So in this case, this is just letting me sit here to save my work for now and letting me know that this is my transactions and where my end for week 1. Okay? So then, like I mentioned, I'm going to go through my entire general ledger. Okay? Now, in this case, right, I'm going to be needing my ledger. And what I'm going to do here is I'm literally going to list out all of my account balances, all my accounts that I currently have in my general ledger, and list them out one at a time with their respective account balances. Okay? So for right now, I'm going to start with my ledger. I'm going to start from the very, very beginning, which is going to be from my assets all the way at the top. Now, in this case, it would be counterproductive to put any accounts that have no balances or any activity in there, right? Because in this case, I'm testing to see whether I put the correct numbers in the correct accounts. So if I have a bank account that has a 0 account balance, what does a 0 debit balance or a 0 credit balance do for me? It does nothing to my trial balance sheet in the workplace, in the first place, right? Because in this case, it's not going to tell me whether it increased my accounts on the debit side or decreased my accounts on the credit side. It's going to give me 0 information there. So in this case, I am not going to put in any accounts that have no account balances in there whatsoever because it doesn't affect how my trial balance works. So that means I'm going to skip this first one and I'm going to go to the next one, which is going to be my checking account. In this case, yes, I should have an account balance, and I do, right? So the first thing I'm going to list out is my checking because that is what I currently have an account balance for. Now, in this case, I have a debit balance, right? I'm looking at the end of my transaction as of the 7th, and it tells me right here that this is my current balance in my checking account. I have $10,189.42 in my checking account on the debit side. So this is how we read our normal balances. That's why we have the equation here. And that is exactly what tells me at the end of my week of transactions, this is my current account balance at the end of the last transaction that I've done. So in this case, I'm going to transfer the number into my worksheet. Now, if you want to, with the abilities of Excel, yes, you can cell reference from book to book. But you want to be very careful with that because look at how many books that we're using and how many worksheets and spreadsheets that are inside the books that we are also using as well. That one, you're more likely to have to refresh the page, or if you accidentally misplace one of your workbooks, that means all your numbers are just going to be thrown off with error codes on them. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in all my numbers and make sure that I transfer them exactly how they look, right? So 10,189.42, okay? Now, how you want to format this is up to you, whether you want to use $ or not, or accounting style, or whatever it is that you want to format your page by. So I do like to use the accounting for this one just to see what my dollar amounts here. So I'm going to record it on my debit balance side. Okay, so that's my first account there. Okay, so my next one is going to be petty cash. I haven't established one yet. Cash in register. I bought my register, but I haven't put money in there yet. There's no need to. I haven't opened my store yet. Accounts receivable. I haven't sold anything yet, so therefore I shouldn't have anything there. Okay, business supplies. Nothing there. Did I buy some small cups, or medium coffee cups? No. Large coffee cups, sugar, creamer. I haven't purchased anything from my store yet except for the necessity things that I need right now, which is to slowly remodel my store to get it ready. Okay? So let's see what the next one is. Office supplies, nothing there. Inventory, I have yet to order inventory, so no regular coffee, Supreme coffee, or any ceramic coffee mugs, so nothing there. Oh, but I have purchased furniture. Now, in this case, right, I did purchase furniture, but what happened in my transaction here? I may have purchased my furniture for $4,000, but I end up selling my furniture for $4,000. So right now, my account balance is 0. Okay? Even though there is activity in my furniture account, I don't have an account balance. So therefore, I'm not going to record that in my trial balance because, once again, what does a 0 balance do for you? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't affect your debits or credits whatsoever because it's 0. Okay? So then the next one here is tables and chairs. I've ordered my tables and chairs, but have I received them yet? No. So there's definitely no account balance there. But the first furniture item that I do have is my desk. Okay, and it's currently my desk set. So in this case, your trial balance can be abbreviated however you like, because in this case, I'm only doing one thing. I'm just testing to make sure that my debits and my credits match. Yes.
That's your counter, not your desk set.
Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you. I went too far ahead, so counter. Okay, so yes, my counter. Now, whatever you want to put in there, if you want to put C for counter, that's fine. Just make sure that when you do your next trial balance that you're going to make sure that that's still there, right? But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just put counter, right? You can use abbreviations. That's fine. So again, if you're doing the allowance for doubtful accounts, I wouldn't care if you put A, F, W, A, right? It wouldn't matter to me, because as long as you know what that account represents, and the important thing is the total debits and the total credits are there. Okay, that's what's most important. But you definitely don't want to take too many shortcuts there in terms where you won't be able to decipher what accounts are what. Okay, if you want to, you can use account numbers, but again, that's not as useful if you haven't memorized your account numbers. So again, that would probably be not the recommended. But in this case, my counter is currently at $1,193.22 on my debit side, because it's an asset, right? So I purchased a counter. Next is, now it's my desk. Okay, now I have it as desk set. I can just put desk, that's fine. Okay, and I have a current account balance for $658.37. Okay, so making sure that I am transferring the numbers correctly. Okay, accumulated depreciation. We haven't even talked about accumulating depreciating yet. So in this case, that won't ever be touched until we reach the end of the accounting period when we do our adjustments. Next one I have here are my display shelves. So in this case, I'm just going to put shelves. Right? We get the point. And in this case, for $577.08. Okay. Let's see what's next. Office equipment. Right now, I do have a computer. Okay, computer for the grand total of $1,834.84. Okay, that's how much I purchased the computer for. Okay, next thing on my list here is my printer. I definitely have the printer for the total of $378.87. So right there, that could be right here a potential for making a typo, right? I could have accidentally put 387.78 or 387.78, right? I could have transposed the number, so that's why I want to make sure that it's 378.87, 378.87. Okay? Next I have is my cash register. So in this case, I'll just put register. Okay. For $649.49. Okay. Let's see what's next. Equipment, right? No account balance there. But we do have our coffee brewer, right? This is when we first acquired the business, right? So in this case, I'm just going to put brewer for $1,900. Okay. Let's see what's next on my list. Coffee grinder, right? I sent out an order for my coffee grinder, but right now I have yet to receive it. So that's why I don't have anything in my coffee grinder account right now, because I haven't received it yet. So therefore, nothing there. Okay. Next one is refrigerator. I don't have one yet. Okay. Vehicles, right? First thing you have here is your truck. I haven't purchased my truck yet. Okay. So then now next one is prepaid accounts. Now I'm going to go ahead and just type it in exactly how I see it in my ledger. Why? This is going to be very useful to you when you are going to be doing your trial balance based on the main accounts, right? So if you remember from the way back when, I set up the chart of accounts to be capital letters as your main accounts, and your sub accounts are going to be in lowercase letter, right? In this case right here, prepaid accounts is going to be its own separate main account. So I'm going to put it in capital letters so I can kind of figure out that this is a main account, okay? But you're going to include every single account. So as you notice, right, all of these accounts are going to be, sub accounts. It doesn't matter what accounts you use for your trial balance, but just know that we will be needing to use our main accounts as we get further down and to the end of the coffee cafe. Using the main accounts is going to make your financial statements look a lot more cleaner and concise. So in this case, I'm just giving you a heads up that it doesn't matter how you put your trial balance together, but just make sure that you do some kind of method to keep yourself knowing that you're listing out every single account, not just specific accounts. Okay? So prepaid accounts is currently at $7,826.04. Okay. 7,826.04. Okay. Your deposits is currently at $1,700 on the debit side. Okay. Then you have goodwill for $2,100. Okay. And then accumulated amortization, goodwill, nothing there yet. And then miscellaneous suspense for there. So that is all of my assets. Okay. We're not going to divide my trial balance based on assets, liabilities, and equity accounts, right? Because in this case, we're not doing a trial balance. We are strictly just listing out all of our accounts and determining whether it has a debit or a credit balance. That's all we're doing, okay? So in this case, I'm done with my assets, so then now I can move on to my liabilities. My liabilities, I only have touched upon a few, okay? I haven't gone in depth yet because we haven't gone through the whole entire scenario yet, but we will eventually use a lot more liabilities as we go through down through the scenarios. So in this case, my first liability account that I have is accounts payable, right? So now make sure you're not going to put in your debit column because this time I have a credit balance. Right now, my current liability accounts payable liabilities is going to be for $3,428.67 on the credit side. Okay, 3,428.67. Okay. Then, let's see, Visa payable. I haven't received my credit card yet, but you kind of have an idea that we will be receiving our credit card soon. Okay. Next one is notes payable, right? I took out a notes payable to purchase the cash register. Currently at $649.49. Okay. And then, like I said, we haven't dove into too many liabilities yet. So here are a few liabilities that you'll be taking a look at. But in this case, that's it for the liabilities, right? We haven't gone through payroll. We haven't gone through unearned revenue or any utilities payable. So unearned revenue, sales tax payable, interest payable, loans. We haven't done any of those yet. Okay. Okay. What about my equity? That was the first thing that we started out with, was that we had an owner's equity. So whether you put, so owner's equity. Okay? And we started out the business with a $30,000 credit. Okay? We haven't had any other capital contributions, which is any investments that you added into your company, so nothing more so far. And we haven't done any owner's withdrawals, and we haven't done income summary yet. And so income summary is your retained earnings, okay? So nothing there yet, okay? Revenues. We haven't even opened our store yet, so we absolutely do not have any revenues. Cost of goods sold. We haven't purchased inventory yet, so there's no purpose for us to use a cost of goods sold yet. So then now the last category we have are my expenses. So let's take a look. Advertising expense. Nothing there yet. Okay? Bank fees. Nothing there yet. Business expenses. Yes, I did incur a business expense. Okay? And it's for a total of $1,000 on the debit side. Okay? Freight expense. I haven't purchased inventory yet. Next one is going to be insurance expense. Yes, we did buy some insurance. Okay? For $195.83 for the month of June. Okay? Interest expense. We haven't incurred any interest yet. So nothing there. Now this one is supposed to be your labor expense. So if you have the time to fix it, I'll show you what to do later on when we get to a labor expense. But in this case, there should be, this account here is labor expense. Okay? And under labor expense is going to be your subcontractor expense and your temporary labor expense. So in this case, we haven't incurred any. Okay? Next one we have here is license and permit expense. So license and permit expense for $375 on the debit side. Okay. We had incurred a loss on disposal of assets. Okay. Or I got put loss on asset, right? Because it doesn't matter what you want to put here, right? As long as you know what that account is. So you can't take shortcuts here. So again, I lost $2,000. Okay. Office supplies expense. I haven't purchased any office supplies to begin with, so I don't have any office supplies expense. Okay. Next one's payroll expense. I haven't gotten anybody for the job yet, so there's no payroll expenses at all. Purchase expense. We haven't purchased any inventory, so no purchase returns, no purchase discounts. Okay. Next one I have here is rent expense. Yes, we did pay for rent. Okay, for $1,500. Okay, and let's see. No travel expenses, no utilities expenses, bad debt, depreciation, or amortization. So in this case, I am now completely done with all of my accounts. Okay. Now, if you have extra space in your trial balance, that is okay. You can leave that for a future, okay? For the future expenses, okay? But I do want to make sure that now that I got everything in here, I now need to go ahead and do my equal sum formula to go ahead and tally up my total debits and as well as tally up my total credits, okay? And then I can run my formula whether that my statement is true or not, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do my equal sum here to go ahead and tally up my grand total of debits. So in this column, I went ahead and highlighted the numbers that I want to calculate. So I'm looking at $34,078.16. And I'm also able to copy that formula across as well. So I do have $34,078.16 worth of credits. Now this side might be a little more easier to calculate, right? You do 30,000 plus 3,000, so that's already 33,000 or 34,000 because that becomes a zero. You can be able to add this up much more quickly than you would for your assets and your expenses here. But in this case, what I like to do is on the side here, just so that I don't have to read the numbers and determine whether I have my total debits equal my total credits or not, I like to go ahead and actually punch in debits minus credits, right? And if that equals 0, then I know there is no difference between the two. So that means they are equal and equal, right? So in this case, I can see it very clearly, $34,078.16 on both sides. So in this case, there is no discrepancy, okay? So that means I did my accounting correct and I'm at a zero balance between the two. So that means I have done the accounting correctly and now I am ready to move on to my next set of scenarios for week 2. So that is how I do my trial balance, and that's how I go ahead and proceed to the next following week, okay? So any questions in regards to doing the trial balance?